Welcome to Read Your Comics. Today I'm looking at Incredible Hulk 347. We're starting the new era of the Hulk today. Of the entire time the Hulk was gray, a lot of times that whole era is referred to as Joe Fixit, but he was only Joe Fixit for a little bit, and it starts right here. But before we jump into the book, I just want to give a shout out to all the viewers. Every like, comment, and subscription is appreciated. So if you're enjoying positive comic content, please consider hitting thumbs up. Comments are always encouraged. And hey, if you haven't already, please subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. I created this channel to entertain, inform, and maybe even inspire you to read some comics. If you think that's a good message other comic fans need in their feeds, then your likes, shares, and subs tell the YouTube algorithm to put it in front of them. Now, let's get back to the book. So right off the bat, we're going to notice a pretty drastic art style change. We've had McFarlane to this point, and now we've got a newcomer. His name is Jeff Purves, and this is the only comic work he's done. He does a pretty lengthy run. We're going to be with him for a while, aside from a fill-in here and there, but, you know, it's a pretty drastic change, and I think as a kid, even, I noticed the change, and I didn't like it at first, and even looking at this issue, I will say, I don't love the art in it. There's some particular panels I do enjoy a lot, but overall, I don't think it's some of the strongest work. But I will say, if you stick with this run and you see Purves grow as an artist throughout this, he becomes one of my favorite Hulk artists, really. He pretty much just does this run in comics, and that's it. And then I think he goes into like animation maybe, or just commercial art in general. I've tried to look him up several times, and he probably wisely got out of comics to some degree. He probably had a much more financially stable career. I mean, I don't know where his love of comics was, and if this was just kind of like an opening gig for him. I would love for somebody to interview him and find out more about his background in comics and why he left the industry. But let's go ahead and jump in. I like this cover. I do like this cover a lot. And this is more kind of the Purves we're going to see, like I said, as the series goes on. Maybe it's the inking. I feel like details are getting lost, particularly in like the women's faces and stuff. And not just in women, in men's faces too, as we jump on in. So last issue, we left off with the Hulk appearing to be dead. He blew up 2 issues ago with a gamma bomb. And then the follow-up issue was Clay and Rick and Betty testifying to the Senate. And it appeared the Hulk had died. They went to ground zero, and there was like a Hulk ashes shadow on the ground that blew away in the wind. Obviously, they're not going to kill off the Hulk. And we don't know exactly what saved him, how he got out of that. So this picks up sometime later. And as we go into the issue, it's going to feel like months have passed, like a good bit of time. So our setting is Las Vegas, and there's all this narration about, do you feel something in the air? And it's establishing where we are. And it does that for a full 2 pages, and we meet this guy at a slot machine, and he's like, this is my last quarter. Come on, baby. Give it to me. Give it to me. He's got 2 cherries, and then the 7 falls. And he didn't win. So he's upset. This is an interesting title page to me, or maybe interesting isn't the right word. A lot of things I like about it, some things I don't. I don't like that we're following up with this guy who was doing the slot machine, but he's turned and looking at this roulette table. But the layout makes more sense for, to put the credits inside the chips here, introducing Jeff Purves as penciler, Mike Gustovich inks, Valerie Gustovich inking assists, and we still have Petra Scotise on colors. I've been kind of hard on Petra on some of the issues here. There's this muted tone in this that I don't think helps too much with the art either. What I do love on this, though, is the lettering right here. And I don't know if this is Joe Rosen. This doesn't seem like something Rosen would do, so maybe this is something Purves did. But I like the script for the crap, and then shoot is in more blocky letters with some gun holes in it. So the guy doing the the guy doing the slot machine pulls out a gun and shoots the machine because he's mad at it. And money, of course, starts spilling out. this older lady is trying to pick up some of the money, and he tells her to back off, and she doesn't. She just stares him down and calls him a wimp. So that triggers him even more. He grabs her and he tells everybody to back off. Now we're getting security comes down, and this guy comes down, and he looks like a mob boss or something, or like a gangster, at least initially. And he comes down to see what's going on. It's obviously his casino. And he threatens the dude to go with the police, or gives him the opportunity to go with the police. He was like, "You don't want me to have to call Mr. Fixit, would you?" And you see he's got his cane that he flips up a little thing with a button to call Mr. Fixit with. And so obviously Mr. Fixit already has a reputation at this casino. Otherwise, this guy wouldn't back down like he does right here. And this cop even says, Who's Mr. Fixit? You're the rookie. Well, rookie, you're lucky. If you're lucky, you'll never know. Again, that's establishing, without straight up saying 6 months have passed or whatever, enough time has passed that Mr. Fixit has been established in Las Vegas. So some of this issue is going pretty fast. Did he say something about style here? I wanted to point out too. Yeah. So when this guy comes down, Berengetti is his name. So when Mr. Berengetti comes down and he sees that, this guy shot a slot machine, no subtlety, no style. So he's big on old class, He returns to his penthouse, and there's somebody in there that shouldn't be, and he's a representative for some other mob boss out of Detroit wanting to come to Las Vegas to do something. The thing is, Berengetti, it's not spelled out explicitly here, but he's not necessarily a mob boss. He's a casino owner, but he probably has a little bit of a checkered past, and, but now he's like a legitimate businessman in Las Vegas. So more establishing like his kind of worldview of him saying, so-and-so, Mr. Gold is wanting to move into Vegas. And he says, I've always preferred Las Vegas, sir. And in Las Vegas, we're something of a closed shop. We know the cops, they know us, and we all work together to try and keep the lid on here. And then he accuses the guy of basically being into drugs and dirty business, doesn't want any part of that, tells him just to go back to Detroit where the police are probably already moving in on him. Basically tells him to get lost. Next, we meet up with Berenghetti's girlfriend, who gives him a kiss to see him first, and then gives him a slap for being stupid and going down there and confronting the slot machine guy. Like, why didn't you call Mr. Fixit? He's only for special occasions. Speaking of which, he's grumpy tonight, and he needs some company. You know how to take care of that for him. So Susie makes the call, and we meet Marlo for the first time. Now, I want to say, in this, Marlo just seems like some, young woman working in Las Vegas. Peter David intended for her to be an escort, and Marvel wouldn't let him do that. So instead, he turns her in, like we'll see in the next issue, what her real profession is. But in this issue, he totally wanted her to be an escort. Now, it kind of starts out that way with this stuff, but then Marlo makes it clear, like, oh, Susie's always trying to set me up with some guy. Says she doesn't like seeing a single young woman in Las Vegas. And, they make it clear that she's just a friend of Susie who's being set up on a date in this one. But like I said, that is not what Peter David wanted to do originally. So here's some panels, though, of Marlo. Like I said, details in the face get lost. Some of this is inking. Some of this is the printing of the time. But this is a great shot of Marlo on the phone for just a common shot. And this is where Purves, I think, is doing good cartooning. Marlo gets on the phone and she's all excited. The mystery man of Las Vegas, Mr. Fixit. So again, reputation. He's been around for a little bit, that his notoriety has expanded to where she knows of him. She knows he's the mystery man, most eligible bachelor in all of Las Vegas. And he wants to spend the evening with her. Now we meet Mr. Gold, the guy that was coming in from Detroit. He's in like a steam room. There's the guy that went to see Berengetti. And he's basically like, we're going to have to do a little bit more convincing to Berengetti. And as Berenghetti's getting in his limo, they see Marlo coming out. she's going on a first date, and all she looks like she's wearing is the same thing she was wearing there. They probably should have changed her clothes a little bit. You want to make her like tall and attractive, kind of Mary Jane looking. She's just wearing like shorts and like a tank top, which she was just wearing there too. So anyway, I think a woman going out on a first date would probably have changed into something like a dress or whatever. But anyhow, so now Berengeti's going. They're being followed. They get cornered into an alleyway. And this is where we're going to get our first, we're, 16 pages in to this book. And here's our first glimpses of Mr. Fixit. So spending a lot of time with establishing the mystique of Joe Fixit, or Mr. Fixit. They don't even call him Joe yet. Marlowe's coming into his penthouse where he's staying. And where is he? Right here. Oh my Lord. She's shocked by the sheer size of him. Unfortunately, his beeper's going off, and he's like, just wait here. I'll be back in a few minutes. And at this old, burnt-up casino, this is where Gold has purchased this casino and is going to make it a nice place. And he's wanting Berengeti to, I don't even understand what kind of partnership he's wanting to do here. But he's trying to force it on him. And Berengeti fights back. He's like, we had more class in our day. This is where he kind of hints at his shady past. He's like, yeah, but we had more class, and we ate punks like you for breakfast, and punches him in the stomach. And then they start roughing up Berengeti. And the narration that's been going from the beginning of like, something's in the air. Can you feel it? Something's changing. It's bearing down on you, whistling closer and closer. Until all of a sudden, you hear crash. What's that? Nice panel here. Crash, crash, crash. We already know this is the Hulk, but that's a Hulk move right there. But look what he's wearing. He's got on like a trench coat and a fedora. I like the crash, crash, thoom. And of course they're going to shoot at him. And this is the first look of his face we get. I like the side view that Purves does of the Hulk. He does some like interesting stuff like that. It's still kind of like what McFarlane was doing, where it's almost a straight line down this way. The brow doesn't stick out quite as much, and I don't love how he does his hair in these like kind of rectangular blocks coming out. This is a great panel though. Great use of shadow with the hat covering the face. Of course the bullets bounce off of him, and he's like, the bullets will just bounce off me, and well, you'll get the idea. And they like start hitting the ricochets. They actually show the ricochets hitting people around him. And then the Hulk starts just punching him and stuff. It's funny, it's like they had to show him like ripping out of his clothes right away. They probably could have done without that for like at least initially. But I mean, like immediately he rips through his shirt and jacket. And now we get some Peter David humor as he's got two guys here. And they blast him in the chest. He's like, you got me. Whomp. And he falls out, just dead falls on him. Which, of course, the weight of the Hulk has taken them out. And Berengeti, geez, what a clown. Mr. Fixit, they worked me over pretty good. What kept you? Traffic. Back. This is a great panel, too. See, this is where I'm like, you see the potential of what Purves is going to be able to do, at least in his storytelling and cartooning skills. I love these hands coming through the brick wall, breaking the panel, too. That's great. And the crunch. See, I always wonder who's responsible for this crunch. Is that a Joe Rosen, or is that Purves putting that in there? So he grabs him, and Berengeti says to let him live. Like, don't kill him. Just send him packing. Let him know that this isn't a safe place for him. But so you get the impression that Berengeti, he's not a kingpin. He's not a thug. You know, he's a old Las Vegas casino owner. You know, think like the Brat Pack or something. Pretty good shot of the Hulk there. I don't know what's going on with his lip, though. I think that's a coloring mistake. It almost looks like he's got like something coming out of his mouth, but I think that's just a color. Maybe even a printing mistake. So he smacks him in the head. I love when the Hulk does stuff like that. Or the Thing. You know, there's like a classic panel from FF48 where the Thing like flicks a guy on the street in the head and knocks him out. And he's like, all right, well, now if you'll excuse me, I got a date. And this is where you kind of get caught up on sort of what's happening with the Hulk and how he got out of the bomb blast. You see Marlowe on the street, and the Hulk is thinking all this through. Marlowe's on the street. Are you okay, miss? I'm fine. She had a wonderful night. And the Hulk is thinking about how he was able to get out of the bomb. The bomb, everybody thinks I'm dead. Of course, if it weren't for Gorsham and his pals, I would be. Who's that? What's that about? We don't know yet. We don't know what that's about. And it was worth it all. The chances I took for those little squirts, they made it possible for me to be Hulk day and night. If it weren't for them, I'd have never hooked up with Baron Getty and landed this great deal. Best food, best stuff, best everything. And all I have to do is beat people up sometimes. I finally got some luck. So that's kind of the quick recap of how the Hulk got out of it. Somebody named Gorsham got him out of the bomb blast, I guess, or saved him from the bomb somehow. And he did something for him that helped him stay the Hulk all the time. It pushed Banner into the recesses of the subconscious so that he could always be the Hulk. And it's apparently been lasting for a while because, like I've said throughout the whole issue, they do a good job of establishing a fair amount of time has passed to where most people in Las Vegas know who this Mr. Fixit is or know about him. All of a sudden, he gets a pain in his head. I haven't felt that since Banner. Great close-up on the eye right there. I love these 3 panels in general are great. And this is the stuff I'm saying as we go along in the run, you're going to see Purves develop into like a really solid artist or cartoonist. Good panels here too, as the Hulk fights back and pushes. Good silhouettes even. The hecticness, the twisting panels, grabbing his head. This is a great page. This is a great page. And you do get pretty good size on the Hulk. That's something I don't think that was great in those couple of pages with the Joe Fixit, is you don't see the size of the Hulk like McFarlane had. McFarlane always had like this giant figure kind of squatting into the panel, so he always looked huge. So he looks like a little smaller, at least right now. But this, not so much here. He does look big there. Anyway, this is a great page. He pushes Banner back to the back of his mind. And then we set up the next issue. This Gold has called in an expert to help with Mr. Fixit, and it's Crusher Creel, the Absorbing Man. Great way to set up the next issue. I didn't look at the letters column for this one. It's covering issue 341 and 342. When it gets to the one about 345, I'll probably do another letters page deep dive. But that's our first introduction to Joe Fixit. As a first issue, because it takes so long to get to some Hulk, I think that's a little bit of a problem, but not really, because we're coming out of the Ground Zero storyline where the Hulk appeared to be dead. You had to kind of like build up the suspense of what the Hulk was up to now. And this is a drastic change from anything the Hulk had ever done to this point. And it's saying that Banner's being pushed back into his mind. So we're going to get some Hulk action. For the next few issues, we're going to get solid Hulk action. And we're not even going to see Banner for a little bit. So that's all I got for this one. Until next time, read your comics.